What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the very first episode of Mixed Martial Arts. My name is Austin Michael Shaper. Where to begin? What is this show? What's it about? Why am I doing this? I decided to start this show because of a few simple reasons. One, I love talking about these three subjects: UAP, UFC, and World War III. See what I did there? I like talking about these three subjects, geopolitics and UFOs, aliens, and I'm absolutely obsessed with following mixed martial arts, mainly UFC, to be honest, but mixed martial arts as a whole. And I just love talking about it so much, and there's so many events developing in all of these different areas, and I have these conversations all the time, and I'm like, man, we probably should have recorded that because we're talking about some good shit here, and I feel like there's a lot of people out here in the world who probably like the same stuff that we do. So I decided to start this. It's nothing serious. It's just for fun. It's informal. I wouldn't call it a podcast. I would call it an informal, interactive show where break news. We're not breaking news here. I don't really want to cover the news. What I really want to do is to just dive into these three areas, these three topics, and explore all the nuances and all the recent developments with other people who follow it as closely as I do. And I realize off the bat that not everybody is into the same three subjects that I am. For example, there's a lot of people out there who follow the UFO phenomenon, but they don't give a shit about mixed martial arts. Vice versa, there's people who follow geopolitics who maybe also care about mixed martial arts, but don't believe in UFOs, don't care to follow it, et cetera, et cetera. So I am going to split the three subjects up. They're not going to be posted in the same video. I'm going to always try to do like one UAP episode a week, one geopolitics episode a week, and one mixed martial arts episode a week. That's the goal, just for fun. So it's going to be interactive. It's going to be very informal, nothing serious. I probably will upload it as a podcast still, just for those of you who are driving and want to hear just the audio, don't have time to watch the video. And I'm obviously on a very rinky-dink setup here. I just have this like $60 mic, and if you see in the background, I tried to set up a little mini studio with a bunch of artificial lighting and stuff, and it looked terrible. So I decided to just set up a little vlog-type setup next to my window, and we're rocking and rolling, baby. So right off the bat, today is just going to be a UAP/UFO episode, just to kind of get the feelers wet, and I want to introduce... Off the bat, man, we have so much to discuss, and that's really why I wanted to get this thing rolling, because I've been putting it off for a little bit just because life, busy, working and doing all kinds of stuff, and this kind of got put on the back burner. But there's been so many developments in all three of these fields recently, and starting off, we're just going to do a UAP episode today, and as I mentioned, we're going to split them all three up on the pages. And if you see it on like a podcast, it'll clearly say, this is a UFO episode, this is a World War III/geopolitics episode, or this is like UFC recaps, stuff like that. So today's UAP, so if you don't like it, that's okay. You can tune in later on in the week and we'll have a different subject material. But today we're talking about the David Grusch story. If you don't know about the David Grusch story, I'm not going to recap all of it because, good Lord, there's a lot to it, a lot of stuff to this subject. And again, this isn't really a news channel, so this is kind of for people who are already keeping up with these events and they want to give their opinions, questions, topics, etc., etc. I will quickly recap who David Grusch is and what's going on with this whole recent development. Even if you've been living under a rock or you do not follow this subject, at this point, it's likely you've at least scrolled past it on your feed on social media. David Grusch is an intelligence officer / Air Force veteran. He's got a very high level of security clearance. And he recently filed a whistleblower complaint to the Defense Department about allegedly a secret UFO/UAP recovery program, claiming that the United States government is in possession of several, I forget the number, I think at least 12 is what was speculated, but quite a few extraterrestrial, what did he call them, non-human intelligence exotic vehicles, whatever you want to call them, man, alien ships. And this is what he alleges. And you got to keep in mind, This isn't a guy who is a Looney Tune who claimed to be guarding ships on a base as a recruit or something like that. This guy's high-ranking in the government, and he has a very credentialed history. The original, was it The Debrief, the news site that broke his story originally, and then News Nation followed it up with two interviews, one like 10-minute interview, and the second one was like 40 minutes. If you haven't checked those out, pause this shit and go check it out and come back to this, because I'm not going to be able to get through all the stuff he talked about, but he alleges aircraft that we have hidden away. He alleges we've recovered dead alien pilots. I know that sounds fucking crazy, but dead alien pilots. He alleges that the first recovery operation took place in 1933 in Italy. Supposedly Mussolini got a hold of the first aircraft and then somehow got transported to the Vatican. The Vatican kept it for a while, and then 10 years later, the American government took control of it. He claims both humans and these extraterrestrials have killed each other, and that there is some sort of government agreement between the United States government and at least one of these species. And oh yeah, by the way, there's multiple species, so he says. There's a lot to break down in this, an incredible amount to break down in this, so we're not going to get through all of it, but that's the basics of the story. He's got a lot of claims in there. A lot of people are divided about this topic, not just the UAP phenomenon as a whole, but what David Grusch is alleging. He's not the first to make these kind of claims, but he is probably the highest ranking current member of the government with a high security clearance, a credentialed past, and seems to be very highly vouched for. That's one thing. Whether you believe him or not, he seems to be very highly vouched for. And I know News Nation, before running the story, decided to check all his security clearances and background to make sure that everything checked out before they gave his testimony in the air. And as they said, everything checked out. Ross Coulthart, who I think is probably the most legitimate voice journalist in the UFO community, is the one who interviewed him. I thought it was a fantastic interview. I seriously recommend. I don't know what the hell you're doing here if you haven't watched it yet. You got to go watch it. We're going to dive into some reactions and questions and whatnot that I have seen people discussing on the internet, lurking in the deep webs of Reddit and Twitter, whatnot. For those of you who follow this isn't new for you, but a lot of people are saying a lot of different stuff. No one can quite figure out how they feel about this guy. Joe Murgia from UFO Joe on Twitter says that he went in front of the testimony. His testimony was 11 hours under oath. And I don't know if it was the Department of Defense, I forget exactly which sector of the government was the first one to hear his testimony, but it was an 11-hour testimony. So off the bat, I just want to state for the record, I do believe him. It doesn't mean that he's not lying. It's possible he's lying, but I do believe him, and there's a couple reasons for that. One, his credentialed history. It's not as if he's a crazy guy. Some people felt that his interview, he was a little too bubbly. He was a little too happy, nonchalant, and they didn't feel that it matched the description of what a quote-unquote whistleblower would look like or speak like. And to me, that kind of is an odd take, because there is no reason that a government or high-ranking individual coming forward with these type of claims, there's no reason at all that they're going to fit the mold of what the UFO community as a whole might perceive that would look like the level of seriousness, the way they act, what they talk about. It's, things very rarely unfold in the way that we expect or think that they would. So the fact that this guy is maybe a little more bubbly, a little more charismatic, and just his overall demeanor is different than what you may have anticipated for an event like this to unfold. To me, that means literally nothing, man. How often do things unfold not the way that we expect? Doesn't mean it's fake. If he was faking this, I'd have to know what the motive is. For me to sit there and think that this guy is faking this and that he put his entire career on the line, I'd have to think, what on earth is he doing it for? It's not money. I'm sure he was making a good paycheck, being as high-ranking as he was in the U.S. government, the Air Force, etc. I'm sure he was making a good paycheck, so I don't see this as a financial benefit. He didn't get paid for his interviews. He hasn't gotten paid for anything, his testimony, nothing like that. So money, I see that as out of the question. If money's out of the question, what could it be? Popularity, power? I don't think he's making a lot of friends right now in the government or in the public sphere. There's a lot of people like me who believe him, but it seems very split down the middle. We'll dive into some reactions. This is Kevin Brent Cook from Twitter. He says that you're saying that there's a civilization so advanced that it can visit our planet with the necessary advanced space travel technology, but that human governments, which are massively prone to mismanagement, dysfunction, and corruption, could successfully hide this superior extraterrestrial/UAP phenomenon. It ain't a bad point. How is it possible that the government, who just about every turn we see, is messing things up in every regard, and there's constantly things leaking and stuff they want to be kept secret that doesn't stay secret because there's so many people in the government, there's so many journalists keeping up with it. How could it stay secret? This is something that David Grusch briefly talks about in his interview because he mentions that this has been sold off to private sector. So maybe this originally started in the government. Maybe, after the Italy 1933 incident, if that's to be believed, and then after Roswell. We don't exactly know when. He didn't quite specify that, but he did say that this was moved over to private companies, I guess you could say, private organizations that are not beholden to the bureaucracy. They have nothing to do with the government other than they have some sort of tacit deal that the government is giving them these craft, maybe the bodies included, and telling them to work away and figure out what kind of breakthroughs in the technology and understanding of this entire thing that they can make. That to me adds up because that's how you would keep this thing private. You would get it out of office because the president and all these elected officials, they're in and out. Even the president, even if you're there for 2 terms, it's 8 years. So I can only imagine from their perspective, if that's to be believed, why on earth would they be sharing this kind of information with people who are going to be out of office, cycling every 2, every 4, every 8, every 10 years, and then wanting to go squeal piggy, with a tell-all book or whatever, to keep a secret like this under wraps. To me, I can see both options as plausible. I can see Kevin's point here on Twitter that it's too big of a secret to keep under wraps, but to be the contrarian to that, it's not really that secret. We've heard a lot of stuff since the 40s. We've been hearing about these kind of events, from bodies to crashes to whistleblowers such as Bob Lazar. And it's been a long time developing phenomenon, and it's so unbelievable that it's almost like it's such a big deal that it almost doesn't need to be kept under wraps because countless individuals from the government can come forward, talk about this, and no one believes them anyway. So it's one of those things that it's such a big fucking deal that there's so many plausible options, so many. I'm not here to say it's real or not. I do believe him. I'll admit I'm rather gullible, and the UFO community has been tricked time and time and time again. But I think this is different. I think this is different than even Bob Lazar, although Bob Lazar did have firsthand, witness. What he claims to witness was firsthand, whereas David Grusch here is very much so speaking from the information and data and evidence he's collected from other intelligence officers and sources in the government. It's not like he's up there rubbing against these ships or he had some interaction with one of these beings. It's not the case. So keep that in mind. Black's Parson says, compared to Greer's witnesses, we'll get into Dr. Greer in another episode. That's a whole fucking can of worms to unpack. He says, compared to Greer's witnesses, Grusch seems evasive and inauthentic. Disagree. I don't see how he was evasive. And here's the crux of the whole damn thing. It's interesting because, as he mentioned several times in the interview, there's a lot of things he can't talk about. There's a lot of aspects to this that remain highly classified and confidential, and right now what he's doing is legal, and it is covered under the Whistleblower Protection Act or whatever that's called that came out, was it December of last year, for government contractors, officials, employees, and corporate employees. I think that was included. are now able to come forward as of late last year and give their testimony and evidence in regards to UFOs and extraterrestrial life and all this kind of stuff. They're allowed to come forward even if they've signed non-disclosures in the past. That's a big deal if you think about it. That's a huge fucking deal that was signed into law, So how could that all be for nothing? Why would they sign something like that into law if there's nothing to see here? It seems like there's two factions competing in the government right now, and possibly the media as well, and the military. One side, perhaps, that wants to keep this secret. Another side that wants this to come out for whatever reason. Maybe it's not for humanity's benefit. It could be for whatever other nefarious purposes they have. But it seems like there's two factions at play here. And from the perspective of the ones who want to keep it secret, I think it's very much wrapped up into not the fact that humanity as a whole couldn't handle it. I think it's more to do with the crimes that were committed to keep this secret for so long. I mean, there's all kinds of conspiracies about this, everything from JFK to countless whistleblowers and leaks and events dating back to the fucking moon landing. So there's just a lot to unpack. And so if this was true, how on earth are you going to tell the population this is true? Let's say they don't panic anyway, but how are you going to tell them that and then not fill in the blanks of why they haven't told us this in the past, 80, 90 years? And it's going to immediately eradicate all faith and trust in the government, if there's any of that left right now anyway. It's going to get rid of that. So to get back to this Blacks Parson on Twitter's opinion that he seemed evasive or inauthentic, as I said, it doesn't have to fit into your paradigm, your mold of what you think a whistleblower would look like. Things rarely unfold in the way that we expect. I did not find him to be evasive. I think he's talking about things that he has to tiptoe around. There was a few times where the interviewer Ross tried to hold him down and impress him for a more specific answer, and he would say that's classified, and he doesn't have the ability to share classified information in this regard to the public. Now, to my understanding, he did submit all of his classified information and evidence to the appropriate sources in the government when he testified during this 11-hour testimony and all the paperwork he filed. He did submit the things that he has not told the public. He can't tell the public right now because then you would be violating, federal law, and that would get him in actual legal trouble. Whereas right now he's skirting a very thin line, but he is covered under the Whistleblowers Protection Act to my knowledge. Bite Back on Twitter says, amazing how decades have passed with perfectly sane people reporting having seen these things, these craft, I think is what she means. Despite this, the entire world refused to acknowledge that Homo sapiens are not the center of creation. Yeah, I mean, it's another one of those things where it's like the government has so many kooks in it that you can see both sides. There's a lot of fucking kooks in the government, a lot of egotistical, sociopathic maniacs in the government who do reach some of the highest levels, in office. But I'm not going to sit here as a cynic and say that's the majority of the government. I don't believe for a heartbeat that's the majority of the people in the government. Maybe at the very top levels, but as a whole, it's hard to say that everybody in the government is evil or even 75%. So for that perspective, the world refusing to acknowledge that, I think it's, a lot of the public don't have time to be messing with this kind of stuff. They're focused on their real life, their job, their family, career, all that stuff. And this is one of those things that's on the back burner, and a lot of people have an opinion about it, but it's kind of hard to know until we see some sort of evidence. Everything that we've been seeing is somebody telling us that they have the evidence, but the evidence is so confidential, so classified that the public is not privy to what's actually going on behind the scenes. So I do agree with her, though, that it is incredible that this many people in the government, so many people have come forward at this point, and David Grusch, I believe, being at least the most current high-ranking to come forward, but he's just in a long list of other whistleblowers, starting from Bob Lazar and countless others. Many probably are fake. Quite a few are probably real, and they've been testifying. I mean, you can watch countless videos about this on YouTube, countless testimonies. I know Dr. Greer, for as fucking crazy as that dude is, he does put on those events where he has like a lot of whistleblowers from the military, government, etc., come out and speak on this. And Yeah, so the testimony's out there for countless people that it's like hard to. I mean, guys who are running the nuclear missile bases, it's like how the fuck do you get to that high of a position, and then all of them go psycho and just start talking about stuff they never saw, thinking they saw aliens, craft, this and that. That would be my fiance sneezing in the background. They're not all crazy. That's my opinion. They're not all crazy. And let me just say, I probably should have prefaced this from the beginning if I didn't. I'm no authority on any of these topics at all. I'm simply, I guess you could say, an enthusiast. I just like talking about this stuff, but I have no high ground to be on, no authority. I know nothing about anything. Could this entire phenomenon be fake? And could it relate to the Project Bluebeam crap of, fake aliens? The government wants to control us, one world government, so they're going to fake some sort of psyop? Sure. Is it possible aliens aren't real at all? Sure. To me, I've always thought it's equally as plausible that we are alone in the universe or we're not alone in the universe. We could be alone because why not? Nothing really here makes sense. We just kind of spawned here and we don't know. Obviously we have our different religions. I'm Christian, so I'm not putting that into it. I'm just saying that we have these different perspectives about how we got here. But at the end of the day, we just kind of spawned here on Earth and we don't know much about anything, man. We're just kind of running the life that we all set up, but we don't really know much about the truth of the cosmos and what's beyond us. And so is it possible that we're completely alone? We're the only civilization, we're the only life? I see it as totally possible. Why not? It's just as crazy as us hurling through space on a giant rock, perfect distance from the sun that we can get a tan, but we don't burn up. If we were fucking 10 feet away farther, we would freeze up like icicles. So everything's like perfectly intertwined and created so that we're surviving. This isn't inhabitable. So that to me says it's something very crazy. There's some sort of divine creation behind this. So it's totally possible that he just plopped us, God plopped us here in the middle of nothing. Totally possible. Also possible that there's these beings because, you can go all the way back to the cave paintings of seeing these craft and people inside of craft. The pyramids, just so much to it that we don't know about our history and so much speculation about it. Hard to say which is which, but I can see both options as totally plausible. But I do find it fascinating, just like this girl mentioned, Bite Back, that no one seems to care. These high-ranking officers are coming out, and it didn't even hit like the mainstream news. Apparently, they did try to go, David Grusch and his team did go to New York Times, who originally broke the, was it the Nimitz video, was it 2017 New York Times? They went to them to break it, and New York Times wouldn't break it, and I think there was a few other more prestigious news sites other than News Nation, and no one would run it, which to me is odd because they ran the Las Vegas alien story, all of them did. I don't really care to get into the Las Vegas crap. I'm just going to say psyop or fake. Seemed like a garbage story. So we'll visit that on another day, but I digress. Doug B says, dude seems straight up and legit. Hopefully his whistleblower information opens the door to greater transparency. I agree, and I think that that's probably what his role is going to be. I think if you play this thing out a little bit, I think it's pretty likely that he is going to inspire a lot of other whistleblowers who have been hiding and have not been confident that maybe these new laws are going to protect them. I've heard about a lot of people being scared about their pension being taken away, so maybe even if they're not criminally prosecuted, it's possible they're going to lose a lot of their livelihood and obviously reputation included. So I do think that that's, if this thing pans out and they keep investigating this and, Congress keeps poking and prodding, I don't know if the government's ever going to squeal piggy on this. I don't see why they would. I think that there's too many lies, murders, all kinds of crazy shit that has been done to cover this up. But I do think that he's paving the way to some sort of transparency. They're going to have to tell us something at some point. I think with the internet and social media and these new laws protecting these guys, the dam's bursting, and this is, his testimony, David's, is a giant crack in that dam that has since been somewhat impenetrable because the mainstream has yet to know a lot of the nuances and specific claims that these more official representatives of the government have made. Hybrid smart contracts says no evidence provided so far. We touched on that. That's the fucking ironic crux of this whole situation. He can't provide classified material to the public, or he's going to violate his oath and he's going to be federally accountable and I would imagine go to prison. So he's walking a teetering line, and I think he told us just enough to stir up the public and hopefully gain and garner support for Congress and other forms, other branches of the government to be able to pursue this, as they are the ones who can probably get the real answers, whereas civilians can yell about this all day. They can talk about this on social media, but I think the public pressure is not going to break them for a moment. I think that this has to come from somebody in the government, or some part of the government to be able to start to get these secrets out there, if they do exist. Hey, it's Nikki Z, says, David has verified many things that I've heard throughout the years. It's time to put pressure on Congress and the Pentagon. Couldn't agree more. I think that's the purpose of this whole thing, and I think we're going to see this pan out. Unless you've been living under a hole in the ground, you have been seeing a lot of more UFO news. Obviously, I'm kind of close to the community. I'm on the UFO Reddit pages and Twitter and whatnot, but even people that I know who just kind of casually observe this subject when it comes across their feed on social media or the news, there's a certain rate of events that are greatly accelerating right now. It's quite alarming, and it's alarming for a multitude of reasons because we don't trust the government, and the UFO community definitely doesn't trust the government for good reason. So we always have to ask ourselves, what's the purpose of this? Why are they doing this? And I know that I've heard about this testimony of David's being approved through the Department of Defense, I think is how you could word it. They signed off on his ability to provide this to the public, and there was some confusion, some argument about, does that mean that they're saying that that's real, or are they just saying that you're allowed to come forward and make this claim legally? I think it's the latter, because I'm pretty sure they came out and said something along the lines of, the usual denial. So, interesting times, man. Interesting freaking times. Thomas Jefferson says the very last few sentence that David said in his interview, we should all start thinking of ourselves not as Americans, Chinese, Russians, but as humans. That's a quote, I guess, from the very end of the episode, or the interview. And he said, that right there told me all I needed to know. One world government psyop. Of course, we were going to hear that. Not saying there isn't life out there. Yeah, it's possible. I think that there's a lot of, we're going to cover UFC news on a different episode and geopolitical news, but I think in all these different spheres of, what would you call it, all these different topics, there's a big problem with the A or B thinking. It's like you're either totally in camp A or totally in camp B, and you just adopt the mindset of whichever team you play for. And the government PSYOP one is kind of like the skeptic of, aliens couldn't be real, and if, the government says that they are, it's because they're lying and they want to control us, the one world government thing. Possible, man. It's crazy because everything we talk about here is possible. It's hard to, pin down an answer on any of these, but if that's coming, it's interesting because I think, as I mentioned earlier, the distrust for the government is at an all-time high. So if they're going to try to pull some fast move on us like that, fake alien invasion or fake alien making contact, extraterrestrial civilization, something along those lines, then the civilization making contact with us and the public doesn't buy it. Not sure that makes a one world government. We'd have to see how convincing it is, right? They're doing the hologram ships in the sky. The options are pretty much endless, but I don't know about that point. We'll have to see about that. Someone has to have the balls to come out publicly, or somebody had to have the balls to come out publicly. Hope for more now to compound this movement. This is from UAP Moultrie Pass. In the end, only displayed physical evidence will move the needle with the populace. To the normies, this is still 100% fantasy with zero credibility. Need independent investigation now. You're not wrong. For people like me who kind of follow this subject anyway, we're obviously could be considered more gullible or can be considered more open-minded, whichever way you want to look at it. But he didn't provide physical evidence. That's true to us. He did provide it to, I don't know if it's Congress, but the intelligence community. He did provide it 100% to the sources of which he was required. But until the public sees that, I think these type of interviews could keep coming out, and I think the public's just going to go through one ear and out the other because we need to see it. We need to see a 4K, 8K camera quality craft close up. Being whatever it is, we need to see the freaking president come out and show us a damn picture. It's going to take something of that gravity, I think, to move the masses. So I agree with Moultrie there. Let's see what else we got. There's so many people talking about this. American Pride says this interview has blown me away. It blew me away as well, man. I started sending it to all my friends. It's crazy that a lot of people don't care about this shit. It blows my mind, but in a way, I get it. There's real life problems to deal with besides having to deal with the fucking possibility of aliens and whatnot. So it did blow me away as well. Celestial Elysium says, my only question is, why is he coming out with this information? On what terms did he end his employment? From what I've seen about his employment, he ended it because, actually he mentions this briefly in the interview. As far as his employment goes, he ended it because he wanted to, he morally and ethically, I think is how he put it, couldn't bear to grow old knowing these type of things, knowing these type of secrets, and not do anything about it. And he has spent I think the last like year or two, if I'm not mistaken, trying to do this privately, not bringing it to the public. He did it through all the legal, lawful, appropriate means of how you are supposed to approach something of secrecy in the government, and he was turned down. He was shot down every single time. So I think desperation probably set in. I think his moral compass was probably going askew. There was enough people that he trusted in showing him evidence or showing him testimony. And I think eventually the way he put it is that he felt that he needed to leave the military and the government so that he could actually come forward with this kind of information without the bounds of being a government employee. So the question of why is he coming out with this information, that's a great question. Hold up, I need some water, y'all. That is a good question, though. Why is he coming out with this? Especially when it was signed off and approved for him to be able to testify this to the public or reveal this to the public. That kind of ties in with the possible psyop there from the government. They want us to believe this. They want us to think that this is happening, but they're doing it. They're appearing to do it begrudgingly or slowly over time. There's many possible options as to why he came out. I don't think it's for fame or attention or money, though. I think that's lazy thinking. I think that's simplistic, and I don't see that as one of the reasons. I try to keep an open mind, but I don't see that as one of the reasons. Time will tell. So there's a lot of reactions. Seems that people are pretty much 50-50. I think we're probably going to wrap this episode up. Thank you guys for checking this out. If you'd be so kind, I'm going to post this on YouTube. If you could subscribe, that'd be awesome, because once I reach 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to be able to do these episodes live and have these conversations with you guys where you can just pop in a question, a topic, and we can just kind of explore this shit together and have fun with it. Nothing serious. As you can see by my little ragtag setup. But I'm going to have fun with it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get out a World War III geopolitical episode and a UFC episode this week, because I'm just kind of getting this rolling. I'm going to do my best, but a general rule of thumb, you can count on 3 episodes a week from me. And we're going to rock and roll. I love talking about this stuff, and I'm just looking for like-minded people. I want to reiterate, I'm no expert or authority. I'm just having fun, man, talking about stuff that interests me, and I thought this would be a good platform to do it. So you can check this content out on YouTube. It's going to be up soon on all platforms as far as podcast goes, hopefully Spotify, and I'll get it up on Apple Podcasts and all that stuff. And, yeah, subscribe. If you guys could follow me on my, YouTube is Mixed Martial Arts. If you guys have any questions or topics that you want to discuss, whether it be UFO related, World War III geopolitical related, or UFC mixed martial arts side of things, you can shoot me over an email at mixedmartianartsshow@gmail.com, and I'll feature you on the show. So that's a good way to keep it kind of interactive and light. This isn't going to be like an over-the-top production with a bunch of editing. It's just coming on here talking to you guys. So had a blast for the first one. You all stay in tune. Stay tuned, because I will be posting 3 times a week is the goal. So peace out, guys. Have a good day, and aliens might be fucking real. We're going to find out.